thing that undermined Africa and also undermined indigenous America was dark skinned people inviting Europeans in to be the dispute solvers of our internal problems. When you're dealing with how West Africa was taken, when you're dealing with how the Americas were taken, when different tribes are going this, the European didn't just come over here guns a blazing. They started with the Spanish in 1526 and the British in 1619, but they didn't get all the way to the West Coast until the 1800s. It took a couple hundred years to push all this thing forward because they would come in as neighbors, as friends. Okay, we get this side of the lake, y'all get the other side of the lake. Everything is cool. Then they will undermine some shit. They will cut water off down the road, poison the water, make the other tribes think they the ones that's doing it. Two tribes get to fighting, then they go to the European to solve the problems. Then the European ends up coming in and undermining both. And that's what's happening in our court system. We deal with a political system, the Democratic Party, that gives this fake praise to black women. It's not real praise. They don't like y'all either. They just do it to undermine. They puff black women's heads up through black women this, black women that, black girls rock, blah blah blah. And I ain't against none of that shit. I'm for. I agree with everything you say positive about black women. I agree with it all.
I agree with
But
it.
they're not doing it out of love and out of admiration. They're doing it because they're playing chess and they're ultimately doing it to undermine you. So what happens is you get this false sense of elevation. So who do you go back to solve the problems that you're going to? You go back to the people who gave you that false sense of elevation. You go back to the people who put money in your pocket through the welfare program. You go back to the people who gave you the Section 8 housing and said this nigga don't belong here. You go back to the people who put, basically at the end of the day, humans go to who feed them. So you go to them, but you don't understand that they're feeding you to ultimately bring you back to them so they can undermine you and fuck it up for everybody. You, the man you was with, and especially the child. Because they really want a fucked up child because they know that fucked up child is going to grow up and raise some more fucked up people. So we're saying this to say this. Don't let the system blow your head up. Whatever issues you have, solve them internally, solve them between your own two ears first, and then with the people you're with. We have a lot of trauma, black men and black women. We've gone through a very traumatic experience, and that traumatic experience that was put on us is used by those who put it on us to continually undermine us and perpetuate us into the system that we're in. That's the point of having this show today, to tell some hard truths that may be hard for a lot of you ladies to hear. It may be hard for some of you children, adults to hear, because you may be connecting some things in your head, figuring out why your dad wasn't around. And there's a lot of grown-ass men out there living through resentment and anger of their mother who didn't let them see their fathers previously. So there's a fuck ton of pain that we got to deal with as a people. And it starts with having these conversations and listening out to a person like Mr. Mark Prince right here telling his story. Anything that you want
Bro,
to say before we go ahead and go ahead?
I met a young lady the other day. She was walking down the street picking roses and flowers and stuff. I was like, hey, I'm talking to that young lady. That's what I want to meet. Somebody that's smelling trees and shit. Not these motherfuckers with the Gucci, Uchi, Coochie, Lucci purses and shit. I want motherfucker that collect bumblebees and, take them way across town to give them a natural habitat. Them kind of women, right? And I meet this chick, and centered, peaceful. When I saw her again, it was the first time that I just said, "Put your hand right here," and it's just to feel, you know. And she's centered and she's peaceful, and we got to having conversations and stuff. And man, one of the first things she told me it was her relationship with her mom, and that she really can't stand her mom because her mom lied to her for over 20 years and said that her daddy didn't want to be in her life. And she's having conversations with her dad now for the past 2 years or so, and her dad showing her all the letters he wrote her every day and all the pictures of when they were kids that her mom said it was not true and this, that, and the other. And she says she is just shattered. And he's telling her stories that and see, that's the part. He says he fought every day not to kill himself. And I told her, I said, you know why he didn't kill himself? Because I've been there. Because of you. The only reason why he didn't go through with it is the hope and the glimpse and the pray that one day that father will see that baby again, no matter how hard it is. And that's how a lot of fathers hang on in these situations, by that tooth and nail. You know, um, I want to honestly say it's not all women. And y'all know it's not all women. And I'm not here to bash all women. I'm here to set this record straight, because if Black lives actually mattered while you out there chanting it up and down the street, don't you think you should start with Black fathers matter? Don't you think you should kind of start there if we're going to start this in the grassroots? I see up on Hollywood Boulevard, they wrote all lives matter in the middle of the street. Not all lives
All
matter.
Black lives
All
matter.
Black lives matter.
LGBTQ
Now, the all in there specifically stands for our same sex brothers and sisters, right? Okay. Hey, right? But how are we going to start with same sex people before we start with Black fathers matter?